Good morning. Welcome to Nasdaq Advisory Live. We're powered by Nasdaq IR Insight, and I'm your host, Will Briganti. Welcome to the December 12th edition of Advisory Live, and joining me as my guest today is Jack Menke. Jack is an analyst at Nasdaq Advisory Services covering the TMT sector. Jack, it's great to have you back.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
All right, so today we're going to talk about technology, particularly some of the recent sell-off that the sector has seen. So let's kick off with that.
Right, so we've actually seen a pretty significant sell-off on November 29th, and then again another leg down on December 4th. And really the theme has kind of been pretty similar, mostly because it's been profit-taking. Right. We saw, especially on the 29th and again on the 4th, names like the semiconductor subsector has been, seen tremendous gains. They're the ones that are kind of leading the S&P 500
right.
tech sector higher. Nvidia, Micron, Intel, all these guys are have been huge performers over the year.
In play there too, right? Broadcom.
Exactly,
Qualcomm,
and there's a lot of M&A activity.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And we're just seeing as the year is coming to a close, just massive profit taking from those from those industries, from those companies, but that's kind of a similar theme that we've seen pretty much throughout the year. Is that we have seen major tech sell downs, but that's really all just because of how far the industry has, how far the sector has performed this year. And actually, if you go all the way back to Brexit, if you take the 10 worst days performance-wise for the S&P 500 tech sector, 2 of those days are actually, from November 29th and December 4th.
Okay.
And again, that's all pretty much just profit taking. We saw a couple of days, earlier in the year in August and in May, but really that's kind of all moot now because you're seeing all of those losses pretty much essentially non-existent now. Right. You're seeing Microsoft actually today trading at new all-time highs. Apple is really back at levels from before November 29th, and Amazon is trading towards pre-Black Friday levels.
Yeah.
So it's really just that's just all that leg down, just providing another buying opportunity for a lot of these investors.
That's great insight. Now, when we've talked on the program before, we've talked about FANG, but FANG is a pretty sort of narrow look at the sector. There have been some other names that have actually outperformed FANG, some pretty substantial companies like PayPal and Square. What's kind of behind that? Right.
Actually, PayPal is interesting because according to the last refresh of kind of year-to-date performance, some of the 4 of the 5 best performers in that sector has been semiconductors. But PayPal is interesting just because if you actually take a look at the stock, maybe through their first couple of years of, year or so of trading after their split from eBay, it was kind of just sitting in a kind of consolidating for a good solid year. But their numbers have just kind of, especially from earnings, just showing just tremendous growth for users and revenue. And they've obviously instituted a lot of acquisitions, like with Braintree and things like that. So they've really kind of just exploded over the past year, and kind of Square has kind of done the same thing with being able to turn a profit over the last year, and now they're kind of engaging in the whole cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin. It's obviously been in the news over the last couple of years, and kind of heading to mainstream. So that's those 2 cryptocurrency based names are obviously kind of in play over the last few months.
Right. I saw some reporting today from The Information, which is a website that's based out in San Francisco, that said that even Etsy is up 68% this year and is outperforming Amazon, which is only up about 55% for the year.
Yeah, so. I think you also mentioned Wayfair too. I mean, all of these online retailers are just kind of following Amazon's footsteps, and just kind of trailing all that. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that at all.
Okay. Well, let's switch to my last topic, which is a 2018 outlook for the sector. I mean, obviously we've seen a lot of swings. There's been a lot of sort of external factors, but what do you see are some of the key kind of forecasts for your sector for next year?
I mean, year to date already, like the S&P 500 tech sector has doubled the S&P 500 performance, with a 37% versus 18% performance. So 2018 is going to be very interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of macro-driven factors that are going to affect how the sector is going to perform, namely corporate taxes. We've obviously been in a little bit of a limbo and trying to gauge a final bill that the Trump administration has been trying to narrow down. So that is going to be a very key part in terms of the kind of the major catalyst that could really be affecting all sectors, and tech is no separate to that. Exactly. And I think the other major topic is going to be how interest rates are going to fare.
Right.
There are a lot of strategists that are overall are pretty bullish on how the S&P 500 is going to perform in general. Some are kind of underweighting tech, some are overweighting tech. But I think interest rates are also going to be playing a big part because that's really, I think, going to fuel a lot of sector rotation.
Okay.
Because financials are obviously going to be a beneficiary of higher interest rates, but you see others like utilities and REITs are going to kind of maybe be a little bit the underperformers. So I think that could really drive a lot of sector rotation that maybe could affect how companies or how investors are really going to perceive the tech industry.
All right.
So,
well, Jack, that's a terrific outlook. Thank you so much for your insight today on technology.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jack Menke, technology analyst from Nasdaq Advisory Services. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. We will be back on Thursday with Jason Peters. We're going to talk about financials. We look forward to seeing you back on Thursday. Thanks and have a great day.